Welcome, everyone. Hi, I'm Mariah from At Home Artist Project. We're really happy to have you guys back here with us this week. We are a collective of artists cultivating new work while at home. Welcome, welcome. If you guys are interested in supporting us and the work you see here tonight from all the artists, please consider donating what you can by contributing to our PayPal or by purchasing a ticket with the buttons below. Your generous donations are split between the artists you see here on camera tonight, our costs, and for the next 2 weeks, we're donating to the Billie Holiday Theater in Brooklyn. Their mission is to focus on the discovery of new voices in the African diaspora. They seek to enlighten, entertain, educate with programming that resonates across cultural and generational barriers and challenges social perceptions. Also, feel free to leave a comment in the teal section below, and we'll get to those during our Q&A after our performances. Also, our website, if it has any technical difficulties, there's a button to send you to our YouTube, and just click that and it'll take you right there. Awesome, let's introduce ourselves.
Hi, my name is Carolyn Mazuca. I live in Los Angeles. I am a designer with At Home Artist Project this week, and I am a costume designer.
Hi, I'm Juliane Pettorossi, and I am a freelance dancer and writer based in New York City.
Hi, my name is Paige Seber, and I am a freelance lighting designer based in New York City.
Also on this call behind our little logo, we have Alex, who's running all of our back end of the stream. And also you'll see some footage of Cara, who's our other dancer. She couldn't make it tonight because she had a job, but we'll hear from her and have some video clips of her. Before we get started, a little bit about this project. We've spotlighted like a lot of different departments, from theatrical plays to music to visual art, and we wanted to highlight designers and dancers. So we dreamt up this little collaboration. In my opinion, like when doing any kind of art piece, it's good to have inspiration. And so we're using a famous piece of visual art for this collaboration, and we gathered these talented people, and we had them talk, and we'll get to see snippets of their conversations. And then we'll see the dances that they created from it. So let's actually get started in seeing the first group's conversation. We have Cara and Carolyn, and the art piece is Homage to Still Life by Carlos Almaraz.
Ooh.
Yay, okay, so you're seeing it, and it's technically a still life, but there's a lot happening, right? So it's like the blue and pinks, that's what you're looking at. So when I was looking for a painting, I was thinking a lot about basically where we are in the world as humans and how everything is happening, and it feels like we're kind of stuck inside. We're like stuck in this society that we're trying to like push forward. So it feels like we're kind of that we've been stagnant, but I don't really think that we are. Like, obviously we still have a lot of work to do and everybody wants to get out of the house, but like there's still a lot happening, like the At Home Artist Project. So that's what I really liked about the still painting, where it's like, okay, yeah, it's a still painting, but when you start looking a lot closer, there's a lot happening.
In terms of dance and movement, there's almost like different sections to it.
Mm-hmm.
Over on the right, we have like the woman with her hands above her head.
Right.
And like that's like a very like clear position that could be referenced. I like that. And like then you have the two orange figures that look almost like they're swaying, like they have a lot of
they're kind of dancing themselves.
Yeah, it could be something that like starts very like posed and slow, and then gets more of a like lyrical kind of movement to it, and then ends with like a lot of momentum, a lot of movement. And I have a pole here in my apartment, like that I use for like my pole act, and like I do like acrobatic pole dance, not like stripper pole, but like for just like I know I'm hanging upside down by one leg with like that kind of like acrobatic stuff, and I can spin like quite fast on the pole. And that kind of like, there's something about the energy of the painting that makes me feel like a spin would be an interesting thing to work with.
I think your poll will definitely be very useful for this. And there's a lot happening, and there's a lot of like props in the painting, so I feel like a poll isn't unwarranted at all.
Do you have like a thought about costume or
anything that helps show your movement? I think will be fine.
I'm trying to think of what I have, especially things that sort of be in the colors of the painting. I have an orange sort of leotard, but it's like backless. That could be cool.
Oh, that's fun.
So it does have like, it's the orange and the blue, so that could be a good option.
Yeah.
Maybe some sort of like fabric that I could start with.
Something that you tear away.
Yeah, like something that I kind of have like draped, and then at some point like, pull it off and like let it go, and then, you know.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to see your dance.
Awesome. That was such a complex and intricate piece. We're going to see Cara's dance for that all the way from Paris. Awesome. We're back. I'm sure you guys loved hearing our backstage conversation. Carolyn, what did you think about Cara's piece?
I loved it. I think she did an incredible job, and it's a beautiful homage to the homage to still life painting. Yeah, I mean, I think she brought a lot of energy, and at the same time it feels very serene, very peaceful, which, you know, the painting is kind of like that. So I think she totally nailed it. And her costume, I wasn't sure what to expect with her costume, but this is the best thing I could have hoped for.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you guys had a little bit of conversation about costumes, since that's your background. And I just think that, like, yeah, I think she took it and rolled with it.
Yeah, and all the pieces in it are similar to the brush strokes in the painting, which I really appreciate.
With the intricate design of the bodice.
Yes, exactly. And the blue of the fabric was also the same way, that there's a lot of like movement happening with the painting of the brush strokes. Yeah.
Awesome. So we're going to take a look at what she had to say about after she created this piece, and a little intro from her. And then we'll jump back and get your response.
Great.
Hello, I'm just going to do a short introduction of my piece. I am based in Paris, but as you can see, I'm not there right now. I was actually extraordinarily lucky to be offered a short contract in Saint-Tropez last minute, which is where I am now. And so you're going to be seeing a short video of my piece, which I filmed just before I left Paris a few days ago. The artwork that was selected by Carolyn, my first reaction to it was the energy that it had. It was really like you could almost feel the movement when you looked at it, which was really exciting for me. And also the blue and orange colors in it I found really beautiful, and I wanted to bring those out. And then after we looked at it together a little bit more and talked about it, we started talking about the figures that you can see in the art. And if you look, you can see there's a figure of a woman with her arms above her head. There's a couple of figures that do like a swaying motion. There's a woman that's running, and then at the bottom corner of the painting, there's a face that's really close up. And so I wanted to kind of incorporate all of those in my choreography. So my thought was to have the choreography in 4 sections, the first being a little more still in pose, like the woman with her hands up. The second being more lyrical, graceful, like the figures that are swaying. The third being faster and more energy, like the woman who's running. And then having a little bit of just face at the beginning and the end, like the close-up of the face that's in the painting. So that's been my thought process a little bit. I'm sorry I can't be there live tonight, but I hope you enjoy the recorded version. Thanks very much.
Awesome. So yeah, it was a little tidbit. I love that she's just been traveling so much. I think like one of the greatest parts of At Home Artist Project is that we can connect with as many people all over the world. Whereas I feel like in some places in theater and things like that, you don't have that opportunity. They're either there or they're not. So I think, yeah, it's really cool to hear from her. Did you have anything to respond to that?
No, other than, she totally got it. Like, there's the still, there's the energy, there's the still again, and she nailed it. It's amazing.
And like you said in your conversation, it's like that fast-paced spinning. I think that just like captures the movement, everything. And I think like there's no other way to capture that, like besides her pole work and her acrobatic work. Like it adds so much to it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know how else this could have been done, but
yeah,
it's perfect in my book. So.
Well, I also think we're going to see another kind of version of this whole same process, but such a different piece, such a different type of piece, such a different dance and take on this whole project. So I think we'll jump into the conversation with Paige and Juliane of their piece, which is Ballet Dancers. It happens to be my favorite artist, which I never told you guys. Toulouse-Lautrec is like one of my favorite artists. So let's jump in and see that conversation.
Oh yeah.
This is Ballet Dancers by Toulouse-Lautrec. So this is one of my favorite paintings. This is, it's an oil on plaster painting that Lautrec did when he was 21. He was actually still in art school. For a lot of years, this was renowned as just like a, forgive my language, like bullshit piece that he did in art school.
Right.
And then this piece was like fully restored to like its original colors and like that vibrancy. And people started to kind of perk up and pay a little more attention to it. This is probably a ballet in Paris. He actually had a super rare form of dwarfism. And so his proportions were like extremely like strange and unique, and he felt and lived like an outsider, and he was drawn to like the artists, and he was obsessed with, they call it the urban underclass. And so this painting is kind of like him starting to fall in love with that world. I think it's really interesting to see a representation of ballet that isn't just pink and like, you know, like perfect and pristine, like the texture within this, like you can tell in this painting that like it's hot on stage and the dancers are sweaty and like, you know, lacked control in a lot of places and, you know, was, you know, looking for control. And I think you kind of see that in the conductor's hands in the corner of the painting. I think, honestly, to me, that's the most striking part of the work. Is those hands in the corner. You know, it's, even though the focal point should be the dancers, everyone else, like everyone else in that room that this painting is a snapshot of is looking at the dancers, but we know that what's really in control are these hands. As a lighting designer, I don't think anything starts usually with lighting. I think you kind of need a story before you can have a lighting inspiration. So I did some story work, but footlight or the uplight, because you kind of see in this painting how like the light is definitely coming from below up at the women, and you kind of see their eyes popped out, you know, because the light is coming up from so low.
Right.
That's a really common theme in his work, partially because that was the perspective that he was looking at most people, because he was a small man looking up. And so he puts that idea of those uplights into a lot of his work. I see the dancers as like almost marionettes, kind of controlled by these hands. That is really the thesis of why I chose this piece and why I think it's interesting to continue exploring, is the idea of control.
I agree totally. And also, like, it's interesting because I feel like every time you see a ballet painting, like these arms and hands are like definitely not like what the perfect ballerina, like what her arms would be. And even the conductor, like his left hand there, like it's a little off, you know? It's like totally morphed into like then that line.
Right. Is he conducting or is he pulling strings? And
yeah, no, I love the whole idea of like puppetry in this.
I mean, music obviously is totally up to you. But what do you think?
Oh, my instinct says some kind of piano piece, because that's very ballet, but also this is ballet, but kind of not.
Right, like kind of like grotesque or like.
Right, so it's like, maybe I can find something that kind of is like your typical ballet music, but like a little bit offbeat, or maybe like look up some of the music from that era, maybe.
Yeah, totally. Like what was playing in the Moulin Rouge a few years after he painted this? Like what was the bop of 1889, you know? Just let me know if you like want to chat or need anything.
I'm sure I'll be messaging you something. Like,
awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
I see all of the comments coming in, so I can't wait to address those once we get to our Q&A. But first, we're going to see what Jules did with her dance. I know that you guys talked about lighting, and I'm excited to see what you guys did with it. All right, here we go. Awesome, welcome back. Wow, that was so amazing with all of those different angles. We added some film element into here. I can see not only are we doing designers and dancers, we got some film shots going on. For everyone just tuning in, back in, just a reminder, we have the buttons below to support all the dancers you see on the screen and the Billie Holiday Theater in Brooklyn this week. Paige, what were your initial thoughts of this piece?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you to Jules for not only hearing everything that I had to say, but then taking it to like the next level and like really kind of respecting the world that we were developing and then adding this like beautiful story arc to the piece. Like really wonderful. And also you should be credited as much more than just a dancer. You did so many other things to make that happen as well. I mean, so thank you for like taking it and running with it. One thing that was really striking to me, and like kind of in the context of these like quarantine projects, was that as a designer, a visual kind of storyteller, I've felt like a lot of my tools to tell stories have kind of been removed from my toolbox recently by our circumstances. But with the way that you were working in this piece, you kind of reminded me that for every tool that has been removed, a new tool has been added. And that kind of, I made that realization while watching you and your relationship to the light source. You know, there were no light cues within this video, but it felt like there was just so much going on because you were changing your like geographical relationship to the light source, which is just something, you know, that we don't think about as often on the stage. And so, yeah, I think that's like a really inspiring thing for us to keep searching for as we try and make art and tell stories in this unique time. And yeah, I thought it was just absolutely fantastic.
I'm so glad that you like it. I mean, I don't know much about art or art history or anything, so talking to you about the painting was literally everything. You gave me so many ideas, and after you told me about, you know, the artist himself and his own, you know, disabilities, I just really got inspired. And in terms of the lighting, we had mentioned that in the painting, it kind of looks like the light is coming from below. Mm-hmm. So I just incorporated that, and I had a light on the ground and I moved it around with what kind of worked with the camera angles. Certain parts I was out of the light and my movement changed, and then, you know, when I got back into the light, you know, it was a different story. But Paige and I really talked on so many different parts of the painting, like the idea of control, the idea of puppetry, you know, the idea of texture. We said the painting itself was a little bit rough, a little bit edgy, not pristine ballerinas that, you know, you're used to seeing. So I just kind of tried to incorporate all of that. I tried to incorporate the era that it was like during the Moulin Rouge. So I put some elements of like the can in there. And I just tried to, you know, I was like, so I've just never like been inspired from a piece of art before, but I had a whole list of things, and it was actually pretty easy for me to put together. And the editing, I'm totally not a video editor. I just kind of put it together on my phone, but it just made sense to me to kind of slice it that way and put it together and flip back and forth between like the conductor and me kind of flailing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would disagree. I would say that you are a video editor now, even if that's a new thing. And yeah, I hope you'll continue to incorporate that in your work, because it really was a huge element of this piece, and it was really, really impressive.
I've been forced to do a lot more video things because obviously we have live performances. So yeah, well, but yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm so glad that you like it, because
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would encourage you to like keep searching for inspiration in visual art, because I mean, I am a firm believer that kind of the best work that we can do comes from, you know, kind of collaborating, even if you're collaborating with a dead guy in France, you know?
Yeah.
I love that. And so we're gonna get some more questions. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the teal comment section below, and we'll start on our Q&A if you guys feel good about that. I know we have some things already from before. I think this is for Carolyn. It's a combination question of what drew you to this piece, and after seeing the dance, were you happy with the piece you chose?
Okay, so what drew me to the piece? Well, I looked at a lot of different paintings, but I knew initially from the get-go that I wanted to do a painting for a lot of the same reasons it sounds like Paige wanted to do a painting. You know, I just feel like it's one of those things that we're all so used to seeing, but they're not really something that you should get used to seeing. Like, they say a lot of things, and there's a lot to say. And I am really happy with how Cara made her dance. Like, it hits all the things that we talked about when we were talking about the painting, and more, honestly. I think like the spins are great, her costume's great, and yeah, that's
awesome. That's so cool. Then we have another one, which loving the idea of drawing inspiration from fine art. Where do you usually draw inspiration from when choreographing for the dancers? And then designers, how often do you use visual art research in your own work? So maybe Jules, we'll start with you. Where do you usually draw inspiration from when choreographing?
I think it's just, I don't choreograph a whole lot, but it's kind of like the same when I'm writing a piece. I think it's the world around me. I love living in Manhattan. I am someone who will just go on walks for 3 hours and just weave in and out of the streets, and I'll notice little things and like the way someone else is moving, and it'll kind of inspire me to move a certain way, and then I'll just think of a whole idea and story based on like a little thing I see in the city, honestly. So I know that's kind of
that makes sense.
Just what I see around me that inspires me the most.
And speaking of the city, another question we have before I jump to the other designer question is, awesome location for this. Where was this filmed?
Right on my roof. But there's a couple rooftops when you go up to the top of my building that overlook different parts. So I kind of like found my way over to like
bunny hopped around.
I just loved like the background. Someone had said to me that it kind of looks like an old opera house kind of vibe, and that I loved that. So, you know, I wanted like that brick and that kind of texturized background. So yeah, it was on my rooftop because that's all I really have.
Yeah.
I mean, it really works out. Like there's no better place actually to film a piece about, you know, artists than on a rooftop in New York City.
Yeah, I feel like Paris rooftops are very painted a lot in his artwork as well too.
Right.
And other just French artists. So yeah, for you, Paige, how often do you use visual art research in your own work?
All the time, I think. I really love drawing inspiration from photography as well. I think everything that I do, you know, wants to be a conscious choice, and I either want it to consciously be kind of a representation of something realistic, or consciously the opposite of that, you know. And I like to pull kind of research and inspiration from all sorts of different visual medias.
Awesome. So I'm gonna read some more of the comments. We have, love the uplighting with the dress, very cohesive along with the music and the dance moves, from Jason. Awesome. And then, how long did you have to choreograph this after the conversation with the designer? I think we gave you guys like about a week, a little less than a week, right, Jules? Do you want to describe that process a little bit, how you use the week? Did you mull things over and then do it, or just go for it?
It was kind of a mix of both. I created like a shot list, I think it's called, of the different shots that I knew that I wanted. I kind of did that the same night we talked because I had all the ideas in my head. And then it was a mix between improv, kind of on the spot, like I knew the emotion that I wanted to have. So I would say it was like half improv, half choreographed. I would say it took me like probably 2 days to kind of put everything together, and then like an hour of filming. So it didn't take a really long time, but that's because I just kind of knew exactly what I was looking to do with it.
Perfect. We have another designer question, and I'm going to throw this to Carolyn. Did this project at all change your relationship to dance and choreography? What important thing did you take away from this concerning choreography?
It definitely did, especially seeing both pieces together. Because at least in my head, when I was thinking about what Cara might do, it was like, you know, like spinning or like whatever. But both of them included so much different like elements of dance that I hadn't even considered thinking in my own head. So yeah, and I always liked dance as a storytelling technique, but I think especially here where we have like a painting that is technically still, like these paintings don't move, but to us they move. To take them and then add dance to it really takes it off the page.
Yeah, no, I definitely saw that in both pieces. I was just like, wow, you can put them side by side, or even if you were to backdrop the painting, it would just make so much sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We have one more question right now from Alexa for the dancers. How did your personal dance style and training impact the piece? I just know from Jules that I haven't seen, you do a lot of different dance styles, but sometimes the stuff I've seen on your Instagram and things, which we will include when we put this video on YouTube, all artist handles will be there so you can check them out. But like you usually do hip hop and stuff, but you do everything.
Yeah, I'm a total hip hopper. I took ballet classes growing up, but I was never much of a ballerina. I never really studied it too intensely. Yeah, but I trained in all styles, ballet, jazz, tap, hip hop. But yeah, I typically go for like the street jazzy hip hop kind of vibe. That's kind of just become my jam over the years.
Yeah, this is something so different. I haven't seen you do something like this in a while.
With my hair in a bun, it was like, whoa. Like,
you're usually just like in a little t-shirt, like jamming it out.
Moving away, I know. That's why I think this was so fun for me, because I was like, oh, let me bring some ballet back, and then you know I get into like the improv, weird, modern-y kind of side, which I like doing too. But yeah, it was like a totally different realm for me because it's been a while since I've done some of those moves.
Cool, that was awesome. I think that's our last question for now. I'm just gonna say one more time, if you guys liked what you saw, feel free to donate. It's always nice to throw our artists on our screen, just a little, like what seems like a little tip. And it's really hard for artists right now, especially with things like Broadway not coming back for the whole rest of the year. And the arts are really struggling right now. So it would be really helpful to help us out. But if not, share our page, like, subscribe, do anything you guys can. Visit us on our website. We'll have on YouTube everybody's handles so that we can share them. And just to like give a little bit of a sum up about us, we have donated over $1,000 to artists and art organizations since the quarantine has begun. So everything helps. Also, just as a quick reminder, next week, I think it's the 9th, we're doing visual artists where we take time lapses of painters or computer graphic designers or different kinds of artists, and we'll have them talk about their pieces. And visit us on our website and you can get more information about that. And I think that's it. Does anyone else have anything else? I thank you guys so much for working with us.
Thank you. This is great.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, guys.